G'day YouTube, my name's Lance, welcome to Bundy Bear's Shed. Well, the weather report. Look, we should get to 29 today, but they're saying up to 15 millimetres of rain. It's Tuesday morning. We spent the day at the morning at the accountant's yesterday, so yeah, Tuesday it is for the stew, but that's all right. I'll try and get it edited tonight and get it out there so Kempy hasn't got to watch a current affair. But through the week there was a lot of storms. Look, probably by the look of it, right across the east coast of Australia. But I know up in Queensland there was storms like southeast, north New South Wales, the southeast Queensland, and right up through Bundaberg, Mackay, and all that. So we had a few storms out of it. It's funny, on the Bureau of Meteorology's weather radar, you can sit and look at that, and look, they just spent $4 million doing a new site, and it was shit. So the government's told them to put it back to how it was. So anyway, that's money well spent, eh? And but yeah, you'll see it like a whole storm front coming towards Bundaberg. I don't know what's there, but you'll just see a little gap come in, and it'll go top and bottom. And we watched it a few times last week with the storms coming, and we thought, oh shit, we're going to get hammered with this one. You know, it's yellow, red, black, and but yeah, it'd all slide under, slide over. But a couple of nights we had really good rain. One time, I can't even think what day it was now, we got 57 millimetres overnight in the storms, and it seemed like it was raining most of the night. But in the bits and pieces we got, for the 7 days we ended up with 107 millimetres. And overnight there was a couple of showers, and we had 2 millimetres overnight. But last week the total to the weekend, you know, through the week was 107 millimetres, which, look, it's 4 1/4 inches there for those who are still in miles an hour. But look, that's great rain. The place was looking dry, and the grass was burned off, and they were looking shit. Tanks were getting down, but it wasn't a worry. But look, that amount of rain, it's greened the whole paddock up nicely. The tanks are overflowing. I had to go up on the rider mower yesterday when I got home from downtown and mow all the house yard and all the front. It's the start of the mower season, and this time, because we have the humidity and, you know, quite regular rainfall, we're on the mower every week. And I didn't do up round the shed here. Like, there's a few tall bits of grass here and there, but look, it's not too bad up here, so I've decided not to do just round here, but I did up at the house and around the orchard up the front and around the gateway and up and down the fence line. And we have a mesh wire netting fence along the front, and so it doesn't rust like our old fence, I run up and down there with the Roundup, which is glyphosate, in the back of a sprayer on the back of a little trailer on the ride-on. And yeah, I putt up and down there spraying that, and I was up there mowing yesterday, and I need to get back up and do it, because in the dry I wasn't doing it. So and the only things that get away are those bloody woody weeds. Yeah, we call them stinking Rogers and things like that, but they're the only things that grow. And Roundup seems to kill the grasses out, and the woody weeds, it kills them, but the first things back are the tall, spangly, bloody woody weeds. So over the next week, apparently we're not going to have much rain for the rest of the week, so I'll pop up early. I like to do the roundupping early in the morning. You have no wind, so you don't have any drift, and it's nice and cool, and the grasses and that are sort of soaking up the nighttime moisture, the dew, so they soak it in. It seems to do a good job. So over the next days we'll get the roundup and done, and I round up, you know, the front of the loading ramp and things like that, round the shed here, just so I don't have to go whippersnipping all the time, or weed eating, or whatever you call them in your area of the world. Line trimmers, I suppose, is the proper word. So, but yeah, work on the yard and around the orchard and pruning and all that. Pruning's pretty right. We've still got some to do up the driveway, but look, it's all pretty good. So, but yeah, it's just coming the time of year where I'm going to have to take all the fuel drums in. I only had enough. I keep about like 80, or anywhere from 80 to about 160 litres of petrol here, and I also keep like 80 to 100 litres of diesel here, just for our tractors and things like that. But Yeah, look, they're both getting pretty low at the moment, so I'll have to go and do a fuel run and sort that out and get that going. Yeah, we had to go to the accountant, and we've been retired this last week. On the 1st of November, Jude and I were retired. Well, that was the first day Dean and Nikita took over Queensland Tractor Spares, so we've been retired a year, and some of the tax stuff that was there, like, you got to wait till your time and get that done, then get the other, and Jude and I have been paying tax like you wouldn't believe, like something like 30 grand in the last 8 weeks or something like that, and which is no problem. Well, it is a problem, it gives me the shits. But yeah, we went into the accountant, and he told us to keep a large amount of money aside for the fringe benefits tax. Now, in Australia, if you start a business from scratch, like I started Bundaberg Field Service and Queensland Tractor Spares and Bundy Bear's Shed, and we had Bubbles Laundrette and all that sort of stuff. But I started the Queensland Tractor Spares, Bundy Field Service and all that from scratch. And so when you sell a business, the government says, well, that didn't cost you anything and you made so much money out of that from the sale, so we would like a hit of that, some tax out of that. And so they hit you up. So, the bastards. But anyway, yeah, the tax department reckoned they wanted about $380,000 out of us, so we thought that wasn't very good. we didn't like that much. And but look, I've got a good accountant, and he went through all the do's and don'ts and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, there's a few other clauses there that the tax, even though the tax department's been sending us bills all the time, and Jude and I have been paying them, we've overpaid tax. But we've contacted them and said, things have changed. We need to stop paying this pay in advance. So look at how it works. If you make $100,000 this year, you pay $25,000. Well, if you make $100,000 profit this year, well, the government says you need to pay $25,000 company tax. So you've got a $25,000 tax bill. Out of that, you can take some of your expenses and things like that. But if that's the profit, and that's after expenses, that's net, you've got to pay $25,000 tax. And so what they do, so you've got to pay $25,000 this year, but then they say, well, next year, you'll probably make the same. So we want that in instalments before it's due. So, so $6,500 every 3 months. And with our company, because we were paying BAS, we had to pay it every month. And so even though you haven't made the money and things changed, we told them, filled out the forms and sent them to them and said, our position's changed now. We're not income earning. We're from the company. And the company's a separate entity to the Lance and Jude that owns the real estate now. But they kept sending them, and we kept having to pay them. And now it turns out we paid too much. But anyway, with all the exemptions and all that, we've actually we've got out of paying that tax bill, which is just bloody great. Because I started the business from scratch, it was our only form of income for over 15 years, and when we sold it, we retired. We weren't working full time out of that business. Like, that was it. Now you can still have a side hustle like a Bundy Bear's Shed or something like that. That's a different thing altogether. But yeah, it looks like we can get out of most of it. But now we have the problem. The company's got a bit of money, quite a bit of money tucked away. That it's company money, it's not Lance and Jude's money. So now we've got to work out a plan over the next 3 or 4 years to get all that back into Lance and Jude's name without giving it all away in tax. Oh, bloody hell. Anyway, we've got a good accountant. We're going straight by the book, but look, his bill was huge. But anyway, it's not huge compared with what he saved us. It was money well spent. And we're happy to pay it, so that'll be done today. But just the tax bill's just incredible. And I was talking to him in there about tax in Australia, and I said, years ago you'd get your tax bill, you'd pay it, and away you'd go, sort of thing. And then they brought in that you had to pay as you go. So your $25,000 bill for last year, well, you've got to pay that in instalments before you even earn it, even if you're not earning it. And we haven't been earning any money off the company, but we've still been getting these tax bills coming in. So, so I said to him, back in the day, probably 5, 6, 8 years ago, I didn't notice we were paying tax so constantly. And he said, no. He said, everyone's saying the same. It's just little bits and pieces have crept in. And yeah, it's bloody unreal. So Jude and I are a bit lucky. Like, there's other people that would work on their business, sell the business, and think, oh, I've got X in the bank, let's buy a new car and go on a holiday and do that world trip and all that. Well, geez, if you weren't strict with what you spent, well, there's different buckets of money. There's a spending one, and then there's a company one. But if you just hopped in and spent that, and you got some of these tax bills, you wouldn't have a very nice retirement. But yeah, geez, they hit you up. But anyway, we're getting to the end of that, and yeah, we've got plans in place over the next few years to get all the company money into our name. We still got to pay tax on it, on some of it, but we need to dribble it in as extra income, not just, if we dump it all in now, we'll lose like 48 cents in the dollar tax. So so for every $100,000 you would have to pay 48,000 in tax to the government. So we can bring it in dribs and drabs and add it to our other income and all that. So yeah, oh God, you need an accountant. Like, one time you could do your own accounting and do this, and the ladies in the office would just knock it through and you'd fill the form out and sign the bottom, and away it went. But those days are long gone now, I think. Yeah, so anyway, so that's all sorted. So look, that was a good thing. Yeah, the money we had tucked aside for tax, we can keep most of it. Yeah, so which is good. Yeah, so nice thing. So might be able to buy a few tractors or something. Yeah, that'd be nice, eh? I might be able to fix some of the bloody ones I got in here now. But anyway, the John Deere 2030 up there, I was just looking through files and all that, and I've had that apart for 5 years. I've got the high-low parts under here. I do have to pull the back gearbox apart and get a reverse gear because it jumped out of reverse, and that's what's been holding me back a bit. I can't find a good used thing, and so anyway, I sort of let it park for a bit, but I need to do that. But a lot of little jobs in the shed though. The office has come along well. Now after last week, I can't remember what the bloody office looked like a week ago now. But the toolbox I'm waiting for from Trade Tools isn't here yet. The brackets from Bunnings for the shelving, they finally got some more in, and I raced in on Saturday morning or Friday morning, whenever it was. They got 12 in stock, so I've grabbed them so I can put up 6 more shelves for the model tractors. I found a few more things to put on shelves, so when they get some more I might pop in and grab them. But poor old Bunnings, they'll think, geez, we've just sold 30 of those bloody brackets. They're really hot sellers, so they'll probably order 100 in and I'll be finished my office. They'll be stuck with them, but anyway, doesn't matter. So yeah, we got the screen door measured for the front there. That was all right. That's still coming. We've got to sort that. The weather's been showery and that, and we haven't painted the architrave that we'd like to do before that's on. But look, once they fit them, I can always open them, unscrew them and finish that and get that bit done. Where the office goes from the concrete floor up into the kitchen, there's a rubber strip there that had just worn out over the years, so it took a bit of finding, but we ended up at Anderson's Carpets and they ordered one in for us. So Judy was cleaning the glue off this morning, so I imagine that's a Lance job this afternoon. And, we just glue it on, and I use this a CRC high strength adhesive. I find that's a good thing. Yeah, so I'll mask the area around, I'll put a mark there where it goes. I'll sit it in place, put masking tape and newspaper all around, then spray all this on the floor and take it outside and spray it all on the other and sit it on and try not to kick me toe on it going in the door and kicking it off. So put that up the back there. CRC, had a chat to CRC the other day. We have another big order coming in of product. I love it. I use it on everything. Yeah, there barely be a job where I haven't got the CRC penetrate or the brake cleaner. I like their brake cleaner, and the penetrate seems to work well. There's a few products I seem to stick with. The rust converter. Boy, do I use some of that. Every casting gets some of that on. Kempy was saying the other day that he's had a couple of dicky nozzles on the cans. Not a problem I've had, but yeah, and my mate Rocket, he had a couple of tips, and Kempy worked out that if he takes the tip off the old one that was working and puts on the new one, away it goes and it sprays and you can use the product. But yeah, I don't know what's going on there. It's not a problem I've ever had, but we were chatting about it the other day. So so there's two people I know have had the problem, but I haven't had it personally. And Rocket kept his in a small little shed that would have got very hot. I don't know whether that matters. Kempy doesn't do that. I don't do that. Mine's like in this big open shed. So, but yeah, I don't know what the problem is there. It's not something I've had. I'll mention it to them and just see if it's something that they know about. Surely if we've had two in our area, we're not the only ones to know about that. But yeah, I use a lot of that stuff. Each tractor gets 6 or 8 cans on it by the time I clean, spray and neutralise everything, then bloody bug around for too long and tidy it up again. And but I do go through that. Everything that gets sandblasted or wire brushed or needle scaled gets the CRC rust converter on it. A couple of purchases through the week. One of them is a new high bay light. Now this light here, when you come in the front door, and I've got that little passageway up there with a bench on the front wall, and I've got all the black toolboxes up the back there with my machining tools and taps and dies and all that stuff in. Above that bench there over the years I've had an old fluoro. It's a double fluoro, and look, it's just got worse over the years, and you know, it's no good. I haven't even got it plugged in just at the moment. But it is a bit of a dark area when you're filming. So I've got this and I'm going to hang that up there. I'll probably have to run a little extension lead to it and run it off the switch up the other end there. But look, that's no worries either. We can do that. And so that should brighten that little corner up there. I can't think. Is it 300 watt or some bloody thing? Oh shit, I can't look at those ones. Yeah, I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, they come with a little chain, and you can hook the chain around the rafter, or yeah, we'll have to do something up there like that. And yeah, hook him up and away you go. So there's plugs up there. So I've had this for a week, and I've been bloody looking at hopping up there on the ladder, and I think, oh, not today. Too high. And yeah, it's 5 metres up where the light is, and well, the shed is 4.8 metres high to the gutter, and then these ones in the middle there that we put up, they are like on the peak of the shed. So I wouldn't mind another one up over here. I have an old mercury vapour light over the hoist, and I never use it now because it's just a pain in the arse. So I probably should put one there, but anyway, we'll see how that goes. I've bought a chamfering tool, and these are just little air operated chamfering tools, and you can do steel with them, and you just sit them on the chamfer and run them down, and you can adjust the depth and all that. Now I first saw this on well, Curtis had one on Cutting Edge Engineering, and I thought that's a bloody good thing, so I bought one, and I had it for a little while, but I was using it one day, and the little screw holding the tip in, I must have been too aggressive or something, and the little screw holding the tip in broke. And I'm not sure whether it broke or come out, but anyway, I can't have checked it or something. And anyway, so I've still got the tool. The tool works fine, but with only one tip I couldn't use it. So I thought, oh, what'll I do with that? And I didn't know where to find the screws. I couldn't seem to find anything that worked. And so anyway, I just set it aside. The looks like it's got a speed thing there. But the other day I was buggering around. I was getting some microphone gear and that. I think it was Temu, something like that. And they had these here, and they were offering some deal that was bloody cheap anyway, $30 or something like that. But the thing that was interesting was, with this little deal, the first one I got nothing with it. And I just got the tool and an air tip, and that was it. But this one, it's come with a spare bag of bearings for the end of it, screws for holding the depth, screws for holding the tips in, and I think we've got like 13 new tips in that bag, and another couple of bearings and things like that, and a couple of air nozzles, which aren't what I use. But so buying this one tool, that's, and the spares that come with it, that will get my other tool back into action. So that's sort of why I went that way. I was using it on steel, and I know other people use it on steel, but I must have it too deep or something. But anyway, buying this one has allowed me to get the other one back going, where I probably would have had to buy parts anyway. So I've got to put a proper Nitto air fitting when I go to Trade Tools, a proper Nitto air fitting, and the Trade Tools specials. Trade Tools at the moment have a special on their spray guns. Now and I use Trade Tool spray guns. They're cheap. If I damage them, if I leave something in them by mistake or that, no big deal. I watch Bad Chad sometimes, and he buys a new spray gun for every major paint job he does. And look, I probably don't quite do that, but I get towards it. And look, for $49 at the moment, they've got the old siphon pot with a 2mm, I think it's a 2mm nozzle in it for doing your undercoats and your primers and all that sort of thing. And I use them. I reckon they're great. And they have the gravity feed. They have a gravity feed for touch-up. It was just a little gun with I think a 1.2 nozzle in it. And then they have the big gravity feed with I think it's a 600ml cup, and I can't remember, 1.8. I can't remember the nozzle size, but they're $49 each at the moment. So, which is about 30-40% discount. So if you've been humming and hawing about a spray gun, I use them. They're good. If you've been humming and hawing about upgrading your spray equipment, look, these cheap guns. Look, well, I suppose we have to admit we're not bloody painters. Well, I'm not. I'm a bloody mechanic, and so. Any gun's probably good to me. We're not painting bloody show cars and shit like that. We're just painting tractors, getting them looking as nice as we can. Probably doing it twice because we buggered it up. That's it, talking personally. And but yeah, $50 for these guns this week on the specials thing. So I'm going to pop in and get a couple. Might even get a couple of spares. And their toolbox isn't there yet, so we'll just see how we go with that. Last week I mentioned watching Cutting Edge Engineering and that, and one of my followers told me a thing about Hell's heavy, Hell's, like HAL's, heavy. I can't think of the last bit of it, but he does stuff like Cutting Edge Engineering. So yeah, pop over to him. He made a big boring bar last week, and look, it's just good to watch. But what I'd like you to do, if you have a channel that spins your wheels and you think, shit, that's a good channel, I really enjoy that, Lance will probably like that, can you pop it in the comments? And yeah, look, we do a couple of things. It gives me a new channel to watch and something that I find interesting. And it can be, I've got quite a few tractor ones, like I've got Squatch 253 and Man from the Mist, Barry. Yeah, well, I watch Barry. And Barry's just doing up a pillar drill at the moment. So it's not tractor content as such, but it's what's going on in his life and his shed. It's like my place here. My videos are what's going on in my life. I get criticised sometimes for getting off track a bit and talking about other things, but I don't give a toss. It's my life, it's my channel. I'm just showing what I want to. If you don't like it, flick off. But it's just how it is. But yeah, Hell's Heavy Earth Movement. Look, it might be Hell's Heavy Machining, something like that. The other channel I like to watch is Inheritance Machining. That's a good channel, like he's got a bit of wit. Yeah, This Old Tony, I watch This Old Tony. Keith Rucker, Hit and Miss, just if the headline or the thumb grabs me, I'm in there having a look. There's a Mark Pressling, he's in the little aeroplanes and model engineering and that just currently. A smart bloke, you pick up some stuff off him. Swan Valley Machine Shop, Max Grant, over in West Australia there. He does some stuff. He's doing up a machine at the moment. But Artisan Makes, he's an Aussie fella, young fella. Yeah, he's not scared to have a go. He's just got mini mills and mini lasers. He's not scared to have a go. He hops in and enjoys it. Path of Discovery, Shane, he's just putting control valve back into a David Brown at the moment. But yeah, there's a lot of channels I watch that are either machining related or just machinery related in general that I enjoy watching. And yeah, if you've got a couple there, yeah, pop them out there. We'll share them about. And yeah, if you're just interested, you know, if I don't get to mention them, just read the comments. And if people put stuff there, well, you might find something that's interesting for you. Double Boost, John. I always watch John. I don't comment much on a lot of stuff because I'm watching it on a telly, and sometimes if it's on the phone, if I'm streaming from my phone up to the TV, I can comment quickly and easily, and I do. If I watch it on the computer, like Barry had one up this morning about the ads on YouTube. Well, I saw that, and to comment, I actually had to go and start the computer and comment on the computer. So some I comment on, some I don't. It's just how we go, you know, whatever happens. Four-wheel drive 24/7 in Australia, you've got to watch that. If you've got bloody, yeah, if you're going to four-wheel drive, I think it's the law. You have to have a look at that. We'll see. The other things that have been going on in the shed is I was going to film pulling the 23C injection pump apart and putting it together again, but with the weather we had last week, I had to get it together and I couldn't film. I've got the film of pulling it apart, but I'm going to have to dump that. This pump here, the John Deere one, well, if you watch my shorts, you'll know that I pulled it apart, and then this little advance ball here for the hydraulic advance, normally I can put a big 18-inch shifter on there and just go give it a jerk and off it comes. Well, no way would that one do it. So I rounded it a little bit, so I filed it all up again and had a couple of goes, and I ended up going to the mill. And now the flat that the spanner goes on is a 1/4 inch wide, so 250 thou wide, and I think it was something like 310 thou long. And so I jumped on the milling machine and just with a bit of mild steel, and I made myself a tool. And I thought, yeah, that'll bloody work. It's just mild steel though. That's going to work. That was a look at it. And yeah, nearly had a sore arm for shaking hands with myself for doing such a good job. But look, I put it on and it was a snug fit, and I actually had to hammer it on, which was fine. Give it a heave-ho, and I've just torn all the guts out of that. So I still haven't got the bloody thing off. I must have spent half a day on it now. They're Loctited in maybe. I might wave a bit of heat around. One of my viewers suggested that got him going this morning when I was looking at my emails and messages and things. But yeah, I'll file that to shape. The other option is to put this on and weld it on, get it undone, cut it off and just, you know, get rid of the welds and away we go again. But an option that I have got is get a bit of 4140 and, you know, part off a bit in the mill, in the lathe. Do this, put this in it, put it in the mill, yeah, put the slots in it, maybe put a couple of flats on the side for the big spanners, for the big shifter, and then harden it. So heat treat it. You know, 4140 you can get it red hot and quench it, then temper it back to straw colour and all that, so it's hard and strong, but you've taken the brittleness out of it. And if that works, my other plan was to make a socket, like get an old socket that fits over there a little bit, and like make a socket that I can slide over so it's supported around the ball here, so it's not kicking sideways when we're trying to undo it, and then put the little slot there. But I have damaged the top there a little bit now from my antics, but I do have another pump I can up on the pallet rack, and I can pop down off a John Deere 3130, and but yeah, I still haven't got that off. I haven't put heat near it yet, not to say I won't, I may well do, but I've never seen one so bloody tight, you know. Yeah, I tried and I bloody clamped things shut, and I've got a whole heap of tools there. I even tried the old vice grips to bloody grip on, and bloody the big multis and the whole thing, and I still haven't got that bloody ball off yet. And look, I don't know how many injection pumps I've done up in the past with them on, and I've just always put that big spanner on and just give it a big jerk and off she's come, so I never bothered making a tool. So that might be part of this week's carry on. Doing that, yeah, and it was good fun in the mill, just buggering around, you know, that little slot there. The process was to put a 1/4 inch drill down, then put a 1/4 inch end mill and just elongate the hole one way. Yeah, I only had to go one way because the hole was already up the other end. So yeah, so I have to deal with that maybe. We'll just see what happens. Up at the CNC, up the other end there, I might take a little walk later. On a CNC router, you actually have your aluminium bed, but when you clamp things and you have to cut through them, you don't want it chowdering up all your aluminium bed. So they have on top what's called a waste board, or a spoil board, and you have this board, you drill holes in it and you mount it to the aluminium track on your router, and then you clamp things to that. Then when you machine around something and you've got to cut it out, well, you know, if it's 20 millimetres thick, well, sometimes you can get it right with the 20 millimetres exactly, but often, you know, you go 20.5 millimetres or something like that, and the waste board gets a bit marked up. So over time, you flatten it. So once it's bolted down, even with a new one, once it's bolted down, you bring a flattening tool, mine's 32 mil, 1.25 inch, and you just run back and forth across or up and down or raster or whatever you feel like doing, and you just flatten it so that when that board's bolted in place and your gantry comes across with your motor, you know that at this corner, that corner, all the corners and in the centre, you're all level. So I've dressed mine, the board there, but I've got captive nuts coming in underneath, and over the time I've dressed it that much that it's time to make a new one. So I've gone up there and I've done the upgrade. I've drawn the pattern or the plan for the new one. I've catted it in Vectra VCarve Pro, and so I'll probably try and do that today. And look, what I use is a bit of 19 mil MDF, and I have a piece here for it, but what I'm going to do this time, I've just flattened the board, and I'm going to sit this other board onto that board instead of going down low. Like I don't do tall stuff, so that's okay. And I'm going to adjust it a little bit. Things that, the last one I had the grid for the captive nuts underneath for clamping bits of wood and that down at 100 mil, and I've brought that back to 75 mil. So I found 100 was a bit dicky, but look, 75 probably won't fit everything either. So so the plan is to put a bit of waste board on top of this waste board and drill the holes, the mounting holes that are going to match that waste board, and then turn it over, bolt it down to that, and then machine all the holes for the captive nut. So the captive nut, like you've got to go 15.25 OD, but like 1.75 deep. Then down in there, the profile is like 6.5 millimetres down all the way through, so you can bring a screw in from the other side. So I want to get that done. I was in at Queensland Tractor Spares the other day, and out in the car park they had a couple of nice pine pallets, And I used to use pine pellets for making I make it like a spatula with a chamfer on one side, and you can sort of scrape a pan with it and all that, and they're just handy. Jude loves them, and I just give them to friends and family and that, and just a bit of a fun thing. But it keeps my hand in with the CAD programming, and it keeps the CNC going, keeps my hand in up there as well. And so I've got those pellets. I've got to knock them apart, but before I do that, I have to do the waste board. And look, I might film a bit of that. I'm just not sure. Whenever I film anything up there, people don't watch it much, so it doesn't matter. The other thing we have to do, and I've been putting it off waiting until I'm ready to video it and the days are right and there's no noise in the shed and all that, and I was thinking Barry might possibly do something similar, I don't know, with his lathe. When I bought the lathe from up where I had it in the air-conditioned shipping container up to the big shed here, when I bought it up, I let it sit for quite a few weeks. And actually, when I first brought it up here, I have machinist levels and that, and I machined it. I set it all level and as good as I can get it. And I put a piece of metal in the chuck, and I machined a 60-degree taper on that, so I know that that was true. And then I bought the tailstock up, and I have, years ago, I bought an Edge Technologies, like it's a shaft a foot long with two parallel machine surfaces on it. Once you get your centres right, well, you can sort of put the dial gauge in on this one and put it on that one, and it should be the same. And I spent quite a bit of time setting that up. Then about 6 weeks later, I changed it again. I rechecked it and did that. But look, that's been a year or so ago now, and the other day I turned a long bit and I noticed down at the tailstock end I've got a variance, and it's not whip, it's not flex, because I had the centres in. And so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do the process again. I'm going to just put a bit of, say, 3/4 bar in the 6-jaw chuck there. I'm going to machine it to a 60-degree point, which is your taper, for your tool. Sit that on, put the tailstock up, and we're going to do a measurement. And look, it may have just settled a little bit, and I just probably need to move my tailstock back and forth a bit. The other way of doing it is do your V at your front, machine that. Don't just stick one in, machine it, so you know exactly where it is for today. And then, machine an OD to, say, 1 inch, and mark the thing, and then go down the other end and machine it to the exact 1 inch on your DRO or on your dial, and just measure it. And then if you have to bring it back and forth, it's there. But if you're not using the tailstock, it doesn't matter a lot. You'll turn pretty true anyway. But it's just on a longer thing. When you use the tailstock, I noticed mine was out just a little bit. There's a few thou though, 3 or 4 thou or something like that. So I'm going to, when things work out, I'm going to film just re-truing the lathe. Now, everyone grabs a lathe and they just plop it on the bench and away they go, turning and things like that. But I find with these smaller ones, and I've got like threaded adjustable feet on it to keep the twist out and all that sort of thing as they sit. But over time they'll sag and twist a little bit and find their own happy spot, and they get warm and cool and all that. And the big old girls probably don't do it much, but these smaller Chinese ones like I have, every so often I find I need to check it. So I've got to do that and make sure that's a goer. So we'll see how we go. Last week I was saying I wasn't going to muck around with the office. I was going to keep mucking around with the office till I got it done. Well, I can't. Until I get those toolboxes in and get that bit done, I'm at a standstill with the office. I've done quite a bit of office work there. On the bundybearsshed.com.au website, I've put quite a few Ford operators manuals. I can't think what else I've put up there. Some International Harvester stuff in the manual section, and the operators manuals and brochures. I've found quite a bit there. I was talking about doing these 3D printed tools, and like we give the files away normally if people ask for them. And Barry from Man from the Mist, he made one, and his STL file's got Bundy Bear Shed on the back. So he sent it to me via email the other day, and he said, "Oh, you want to put that on? You know, that'll just be a bit of an ad and all that." And I said, "Oh yeah, Barry, that'd be good, thanks." So I've got the file. This one's a bit split from sitting, and so I've got the file. So I thought, right, I'll pop it in the website on the David Brown section. You know, on top of the service manual section, I was just going to have STL file for setting tool, and I also mentioned that I was going to put the files for Tim Hoffman's Fergie setting tools, but I haven't done that. So I goes to put the file on. Nah, wrong file. Their website won't accept it. So I thought, oh shit, all right, what have I got to do here? So I had a look at the settings, and yeah, no good me looking at them, and couldn't work it out. So I got onto the web developers, and they said, oh yeah, the WooCommerce site and thing, I can't think what sort of bloody website it is now. Anyway, I won't accept that file. We'll change it so it does. So, oh, try that. So I tried that. No go. And they said, oh, we might have to go buy an add-on and put on. And I said, oh, let's do that. So I put an add-on. So just to give this file away, we're paying 190 something bucks an hour for these blokes to put it on there. But now we've actually got it there. And look, what I'm thinking of doing is there's going to be new stubby coolers out soon. There's going to be new stickers out soon. Like I said last week, the shirts don't sell much. We're just not going to worry about them too much. Perhaps if you buy something, we might... No, I won't promise anything. And so what we're going to do now in the shop, we've set it up so we have been able to upload that STL file onto our WooCommerce website now. But I'm thinking of just putting it in the shop as an item, and they've set it up that you can charge for something, but you can set it up so when it comes out and people agree to buy it, it comes out as a digital download, and you can buy a digital download like on Etsy and that. But currently, I'm going to put it out there for free, but I just got to test the process that when you go to the shop and you grab the file and you want to check out with it, I've got to come in as an anonymous person and see if I can get it out the door and it all works seamlessly. But if that works, some of the tool files we have and things like that, Plasma Dave has just done a drawing of the little pipes in the head for the 23C. And look, it's just a picture. We could just have it there as a free downloadable file. When you hop into the service bulletin section on the website, there is so much there. Workshop manuals, there's a lot there. And, you know, we'd have to have it up the top, you know, a tool file section. But then I've got to talk to them about putting an extra tool file section in and all that, and it's all money. And just doing this one's probably a couple $100. You know, I haven't got the bill yet, but probably $250 or something like that. Most bills are $230, $250 from them. But anyway, that's fine. We'll get that done, and it's just made the website a bit better for everyone. And the YouTube income, it cost me $50 a month to host the site, and YouTube revenue goes straight back into there. So yeah, but that's all right. That's a choice I made. We're going to try and do that. I've got a lot of stuff to put on there yet, but I just got to be in the right frame of mind. Now I've got a nice office up there. The other day in the rain, I felt good sitting up there. I enjoyed it, and I could keep a clear head for a few hours and upload some stuff. I should actually, look, I'll see about that. I won't promise that, but I should actually do a bit of a report on what I've put on every week, just so you know. And if it's your cup of tea, like I've put forward 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 operators books on. I've put some parts books, but yeah, those things. You know, if they're of any interest, yeah, I could probably do a list, or even just do a Facebook post or something like that. Once again, though, if you have any files you'd like to donate, donate to the channel, email them to me, and yeah, I'll put them out there. We don't charge for them. We just want to have a good library out there that'll slowly build. Keith Rucker on vintagemachinery.org, he has some of the old planers and milling machines and shapers and all that. He has terrific library there. And I don't want to do all that machinery, you know. I don't want to double do what he's doing. He's got his own show to run. But the tractor stuff, there's nothing out there much. So I'm going to try and put it all out there for free if I can. And we'll just see how we go. All right, that's going to be me for the moment. Yeah, I've rambled on enough for 1 week. Yeah, I had a club meeting the other day, and we got the AGM coming up, and yeah. Well, one lady brought me a nomination for president, and she's offered one to another fella and the same to another fella. They're all my mates. I don't know what's bloody going on. We just have to, everyone's welcome to have a go, more the merrier. And I got one to be secretary, which I haven't accepted. I've got 2 to be president. I've accepted 1. And the president thing, some of the people are stepping up only to work with me, and like the 2IC, he said, oh, if you're staying, I'll do it. And I was all right then. And then, so anyway, who knows what's going on there. Doesn't matter. If I end up out of a job, that'll be bloody good. I'll just step back and they can organise a rally. They bloody sort the contacts out. They can do all that stuff. It's fine. But I haven't accepted the secretary thing. I have a nomination there. The old secretary and his wife filled one out and brought it out, and but yeah, I just haven't accepted that. I'm not sure it's something I'm doing. And yeah, but if you don't have a secretary in a club, you have a month to find one, or the club's got to fold up. So see what happens there. All these people that carry on about how important the club is, we'll probably see how important it is. So anyway, but I've accepted a president's one. There might be a few more of them coming yet. We've got the whole thing full though. Yeah, we've got helpers and all that on everything. Got a few committee members. Marilyn's doing the newsletter again. She does a wonderful job. Yeah, so anyway, another month of the bullshit, I suppose, and then we'll be sorted out. Then we'll have a break. We have there's a Christmas parade float. Davey Recco and Marilyn host that, but the members all go and help and show stuff. And I've had stuff on it. Last year they had my tractor. The year before they had me little grey Fergie, the toy one with my hay baler and all that. And hopefully this year, like all that's there if they want it, but hopefully this year someone else gets a turn and they yeah, put engines on and things like that. So anyway, we'll see. But it's there if they want it, but when the time comes, we'll just go and have a chat, and if there's any gaps to fill, we'll help. But I'd like to step back a bit and give everyone else a go. Ray Birdmore, he's got Shiny, his little TE20, he's doing the parade. And yeah, he needed a brake switch the other day, and he rang up Queensland Tractor Spares and they had one, but he couldn't get up because he lives at Harvey Bay. So he rang me up and he said, they reckon they might get it to you, but if they don't, can you go to Queensland Tractor Spares and grab this switch? It's all paid for. So I said, yeah, no worries. So Friday afternoon, the storms were coming, and I thought, shit, if I don't get over there and grab that bloody thing, I'll be driving in the storms. And I hadn't heard from Dean or anyone what was going on, so I thought, bugger it, I'll just get going, because the sky was getting real black round here. So I raced into Queensland Tractor Spares to grab it, and Al says, I think they're dropping that off at your place. And I said, oh, okay, that's all right. So that's when I picked up a couple of pallets and had a yarn. Next thing I got a message from Jude. Oh, Dean's here, he's dropped that switch off. So that's how it works. So that's how the clubs have been working with that. Like, Ray's got a need for this switch. Yeah, I told him if I hadn't heard from him, I'd go and get it. So I went to get it, but in the meantime, they'd picked up the kids and come and dropped it off. So he was getting his bloody switch anyway. And I also had a spare one here for another project. So I said, well, if it didn't work out, I'd take that one in and give to Ray for his tractor. But we got it all worked out. But communication breakdown. Yeah, I was in there picking it up and they were at home dropping it off. So that's all right, isn't it? Works well. All right, that's it. I'll shut up. Thanks for dropping by, and yeah, have a great week, everyone. And well, we'll catch you all next week, eh? See ya.